to Riding Shotgun TV, the podcast. I'm Fastlane Jane.
And I'm Design Muse.
And we're super excited for you guys to be a part of today's podcast because we're flipping the script a little bit. We're interviewing each other.
Woo!
We want you to get to know us and what makes us Fastlane Jane and
Design Muse.
and what we're passionate about. So I'm going to start off this conversation with my list of questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
Design Muse. And we have pre-screened the questions, so there's nothing that is off limits as long as it's on this piece of paper, right?
That's right. I'm okay with I glanced over it lightly, but I think this is going to really help us, even us, get to know each other better, and our viewers too, so they get to know who we are.
Yes. And we spoke about this. I am going to have to wear my glasses. So
I love them.
Yeah, well, I can see. And I can see you guys so much better too. So let's start with the first one. Who are you?
Who am I? Is this like the Cheshire Cat in Alice?
I think that it's open to interpretation.
Right?
Yes.
I am Teresa Contreras. I am a Design Muse on Instagram. I am a designer, graphic designer, custom painter. I like to build, work on cars, vehicles, off-road things. I love to off-road. I love riding motorcycles. I am a lover of the outdoors. Gosh, so many things. I just love design in general. I think it's just a huge part of our life and what inspires us. I think, and it's a really big part of my life. I think like everything around me is based around design in some way. And that's even the outdoors. Like I love being outdoors too, but it's all part of it. So I am a custom painter and designer and co-owner of LGE CTS Motorsports. That is where we build custom vehicles. We do them for a lot of corporate clients. Currently, we have some Kias that we're working on some projects with, and we have a Bronco that I cannot disclose who that is for yet. And so that is just a fun thing that we get to do. I love designing vehicles. I love being able to work on them, custom painting them. And then we also have Baja Forged. I am lead designer and co-owner of Baja Forged, where we basically started creating a style and look with our products, with our off-road tube style bumpers with LGE CTS, and it really took off, and it really became something that people all over the country really started to want. And, you know, besides us building one-off, we decided, you know what, this is something we'd love to build a package for and put our products, you know, on other people's vehicles. So we actually just started a manufacturing business 2 years ago. So my sister and I, and we are women-owned companies. And then we also, I'm also part of Real Deal Revolution. So that I am a co-founder with Jessie Combs. And that her and I created because, you know, we really wanted to go out and put, you know, hands in the tools of other people and let them know how excited we get about creating things and learning new skills. And we want them to get excited about that. So Real Deal Revolution. And now I get to also join you with Riding Shotgun TV, the podcast, and be part of this with Fastlane Jane over here, you know, who I met through Jessie Combs and everything. But really, yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I live out in the desert in Johnson Valley. My heart is in the desert. I love open spaces like this. And I love off-roading, driving. I think I said all those things. So I think that's who I am.
That's amazing. I love it. I think that is a tall order and lots of, I mean, in a nutshell, you're a creative. I mean, it just really is. And you're a mom. So that even, you know, you are definitely creative.
Thank you. You're
creative.
I love being married. I am a wife and a mom, and I love that. And
And a sister and an amazing friend and a daughter, and you're just like a really, really well-rounded woman who is, to some degree, I can say it, a game changer. So
oh,
I love
thank
that. I love that about you. I love
you.
that. What excites you today? And it has to be a different answer than the one you just gave.
I know, right? What excites me today? So currently, I think you mean not just today, but like in general, like at
Yes,
this moment,
ma'am.
right?
At this space and time.
I'm loving Broncos so much. I'm just so inspired by the new Ford Bronco, and it's something that's been, I mean, we've been working on them now for a year, and I'm still really excited about the possibilities of what they can become. I mean, they're still fresh. There's new possibilities every time I do one thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we can do this too. So that's my that's the creative thing that I'm excited about right now.
Do you think, this is now me adding a little piece to this, do you believe that uh, the older or first generation Bronco helps to stoke that fire of creativity for you?
Yes, 100%. It definitely came from even me as a kid growing up in one. My dad and my mom would take us on rides in Broncos. I have photos of me being in the back of a Bronco. We would go adventuring everywhere from Pismo Beach to Glamis to up to Colorado. So I definitely think that is a part of that first gen Bronco has inspired me, and I've been part of that. And now it's cool to see, what that is for new generations to come, and even how it's inspired me in a fresh way.
I love that. Sorry about that. I had a little tickle in my throat. I apologize, guys. That's awesome.
You have to do that.
We have to hydrate. It's
Mhm.
dry. It's dry.
Important.
You, to some degree, answered this question a little bit already, but
Okay.
I'd like you to go maybe a little bit deeper. How did you find your way into motorsports? I mean, just like more succinctly, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, basically family. I've been around. My mom and dad pretty much grew up. Sorry, let me start that over. They didn't grow up like that. I grew up with my mom and dad working on cars in the garage, in coming home to that. So even as a little kid, my mom would be sanding cars with my dad in the garage, and I would be helping them, at 2 and 3 years old. Those are memories that I remember. And then the business was a family owned business. So that was something that I got into later on. I was actually a machinist and out of high school, and then went to school for graphic design. So I actually did those things prior to going, and working at the family business. And then I just got into that. I got into teaching myself how to paint and everything. And then I really fell in love all my life. Yes, I've loved off-roading and the motorsports in general. And so, yeah, it just kept going from there.
That's awesome. Toughest hurdle then and now?
Toughest hurdle. So when I was wanting to get into learning how to paint, I would go and I would be like, asking my dad, like, hey, can you teach me this? Can you, I'd love to learn this and stuff. And then I would go, and then he'd do it already. And I would be like, oh, like, I'd be so bummed, and I'm like, I thought you were going to teach me. He's like, yeah, you just do it like this. And I'm like, no, I wanted to do it, and so I did that a couple times, and I realized, like, this is not going to work. Like, this is just not the way, like, how am I going to do this? And then I just figured out, like, I just have to do it. Like,
You have to try.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if someone else is going to teach you or whatever. Like, it's trial and error, and I just have to go out and do it. So that I think it was something in my heart that I knew I wanted to do, but I was reaching out to people around me and it wasn't really happening. So I am good at learning, watching other people and understand what they're doing. So I was just like, I just got to do it myself. So that was my hurdle then, and my hurdle now. Recently, I don't know. That's a good one. I don't know that I've had really big hurdles recently. I mean, I guess one of the biggest ones now, in general, is being out in the middle of the desert. Love it, enjoy the heck out of it. But we had a shop that was so fully state of the art and equipped before that. It was so easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so out here in the desert, I'm like, oh, I need this. And I'm like, oh, dang it, I don't have that. Or I have to go a half hour away to get it or something.
Right.
It's not as easy to do things out here. I'm still able to, but it takes a lot more effort and time sometimes. And I think that's almost like in the world in general today, because we were so used to like instantly snapping our fingers and going anywhere. We were in LA. So it's like, you can literally get something within an hour, you know, I don't care what it is. And now you're waiting, you know, weeks or months to get things sometimes.
Absolutely.
Like, this doesn't even make sense. So I think that's a really tough hurdle in general to deal with now.
So just kind of making that shift with your mind. And obviously, we've all experienced it over the past couple of years, that you look and you just kind of go, okay, now I've got to offer myself a little bit more grace and patience, right?
Grace is a great word.
Yeah.
I use it all the time, because it is something that we all have to remind ourselves about, that you have to give yourself grace, because
otherwise you lose it. I mean, literally lose it over, you know, a seemingly innocuous little something that was easy to handle a couple years ago. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a reset. And I think living in the desert too, it is, you know, there's a
learning curve. There's a learning curve to all of it.
It doesn't change. So. Yeah, it doesn't change the fact that it's still, you know, a phenomenal place to be. It's just relearning. Yeah, relearning patterns and relearning new habits, right? I love it. Your biggest inspiration then and now.
Inspiration, is this like a person or anything in general?
It could be a person, it could be a place, it could be an experience that happened when you were your younger self.
Okay. I like that you.
And it doesn't have to be.
That's great.
And if your inspiration now is a person, then you go with that.
So you know what? I'm gonna say the desert. It was, and I'm gonna use it for both. And the reason is so growing up, you know those years, the formative years, right? Up until what, you're 7 or something. Like, I grew up going to the desert. When we went to the desert, it was the place where we all relaxed, and we kind of turned everything else off, you know, and it wasn't about work anymore. It was about like going out and enjoying this beautiful place, and off-roading, and just having a good time, you know. And that for me has now translated and helped translate into what that is for me today. Like, because, you know, living more in the, you know, not quite the city before, but the higher suburb area of a city, you know, there's a lot of activity, and it's very consistent. And I'm the kind of person that is going 100 miles an hour, and I don't slow down and I don't turn off. And I love being in the desert now, because I'm able to turn off, you know, and to enjoy the moment, and to be like, I'm working my ass off today. And then I just sit and I'm like, look at this. Like, this is amazing. And I'm able to have that moment. And that was an inspiration then, and it still is now for me. And I think a lot of us, you know, as kids, we don't realize, you know, anything in our childhood, could be good or bad, but how that does help shape us, in the
Right.
future.
Right. Awesome answer. I love that. And I think it's really important to understand how, I think with age comes wisdom, obviously, and understanding what your needs are to shut off because you do give,
Right.
right? And
We
I
give a
know that
lot of
I can
ourselves.
say
Yeah.
that for most of our viewers, that they are really a lot of highly motivated, super energetic, go, go, go people. And to find that place where you find peace. I mean, it's easy for me to say that I oftentimes find it behind the wheel of a race, which sounds a little funny, right? And other people, they're taking their dog out to the dog park or whatever it happens to be. And I
Yep.
think that's a beautiful statement. So
Yeah.
fabulous. Thank you so much. Favorite memory during your career?
There's a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
If you have one. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. If you have
Yeah,
more than one,
no,
I'm
and
happy.
I'm very blessed. You know what? One of the things that I always pick and I always go back to is the all female build. It's and the reason that is one of my favorite memories is because I met some of the best freaking women around
Right.
and men too, during that build, and they've all become my best friends, and
Wow,
I'm
that's so
so
amazing.
grateful for projects like that they exist, that they happen. Like, to me, that type of stuff comes around for a reason, and yeah, it's one of the best memories. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Favorite type of racing? And I know
off road.
I was going to say, I want a little more than just that. Because there's multiple types of off-road, right? You tell.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I have the same list in front of me.
So you saw it coming.
Duh. But because you put some other things here too, like bucket list, and so
Oh, that's after this.
I know.
So that's
but
my next
but
question.
so I don't want to. I know.
But if
Off road, desert racing. I love long distance desert type racing, and
okay,
that's kind of my thing. So not circle track or whatever.
okay,
To me, with score MDR, desert
right,
and like that, where you're doing
okay.
200
Best
to
in the desert kind of type.
1,000 miles.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
best in the desert is another one.
yes,
That's where you're doing this type of racing that kind of anything's happening. You don't know what's going to happen. There's,
right,
you are on some of them allowed to pre-run the courses. Some of them you aren't, and it's that challenge of not knowing what's going to happen. It's not the same course over and over. It's
right.
different every time. And even if you do have to lap that course again, it's changed because someone hit something, someone's moved a rock, someone's done something that has made it so you are on your skill set that you have to know and be aware of what's happening and what's going on in front of you. And you're in that moment right then of you have to know how to respond, what's going to happen. There's whoops ahead. How are you approaching that of how that's going to change your driving style? So your driving style is changing consistently, and there's I don't know, it's same, why do you get behind the wheel? This adrenaline rush of like you want that. Like, I love challenge. I welcome challenge and change, and people always think I'm a little crazy for things like that, but I love that. I love that moment where it's almost like chaos, but at the same time, it's like you're like what you were saying behind the wheel. It's like you can find that moment of like you're focused, and you're also quiet behind there because you're paying so much attention to what's happening, and it's like you're the eye of the storm. Like you're going in, and it's just
you're so 100% present.
Yeah.
So then the bucket list item, highest priority. What is
trophy truck? drive
I love it. That I love that.
That was Jesse's too. It's, you know, I've raced, I've done off-road, but the trophy truck, that is the, yeah.
Okay.
And that's it. That's the full on bucket list.
Okay.
I'd love to do other races. I have tons of other things on my bucket list. I don't know if we're going down the whole list or
Oh, just the one of highest priority. What you rank is number one.
That's
highest priority.
That's at my top of the list for sure.
Share your biggest takeaway that speaks to inspiration.
Explain that more.
Ah, that's not fair. I'm the one who's asking the questions here, lady.
I know. No, I want to.
I'm teasing you. I'm teasing
further.
You. So, an experience potentially that's happened in your life,
okay,
or you've been witness to,
okay,
that spoke to inspiration or just kind of stirred that inspiration in you, either to share with another or internally it inspired you to do and be who you are today or in that moment. Does that give you a little bit more?
It does. And so, and I think it kind of can be like inspire, like, where do we take things from? Because yes, it can be experience, it can be a person, a moment, whatever those things are, man. And then how does that speak to inspire? Like, that's a big one.
Do you want to circle back to that?
No. It's very deep, and it's funny because, so you know what's funny is that I don't find this moment, and this is what keeps popping into my head, so it must be part of it. But I don't find this moment as an inspiration, but I guess it was in a way, is that so, and I haven't really talked about this before or whatever. So on the Jay Leno Bronco bill.
Okay.
There was, so prior to, we had it on the SEMA showroom floor.
Yeah.
And I know I've been told before, like, maybe not to talk about this.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk about it. So I feel like it's way down the line now. But something happened and there was a little crack in the grill.
Okay.
So that night at the SEMA show, like this was on Sunday night. And it's there in the booth, and like literally there's no one there. It's like 8 o'clock at night. I screamed. Like, it echoed in the entire showroom, and everyone's like, oh my God, what happened? And I was like, there's a crack in the grill. I mean, this vehicle is supposed to debut in front of everyone in a day, in 20, like, a little over 24 hours, because it's Sunday night and it's supposed to be Tuesday morning, right?
Okay.
And I guess the reason why I say this is like a takeaway and inspiration, like, it's one of those things where sometimes you have to get quiet. This is something so big that it like punches you in the face, kind of thing. Yeah. And you're like, what is going to happen right now? And my biggest inspiration is always people. People are your best resources around. They really are. And when you are able to rely on other people to just be there for you and make stuff happen with you. Right. And I love moments like that. Like that is that grit moment. And I think it's almost like why racing is so, it's part of that moment when you know you're part of this team to like make something happen. And so, I mean, that night I quieted down, went with my friend. We went to like AutoZone that's open 24 hours in Vegas, we're trying to figure things out. And like literally 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm texting people, calling them 5 o'clock in the morning on a Monday,
That's gnarly.
And everything happened. People were there. People got stuff to me. Everything happened that needed to happen in that moment to make that work and get it completed. And it's just amazing how a team can come together and how people, and I guess it's just people inspire me that they can rise up to the moment, and really be there for you when you think you're at your lowest, they're like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen right now? Like, am I going to F up one of the biggest things in our career right now? Like, what this thing is, I mean, this thing literally, was in the middle of the SEMA show on a turntable in the biggest booth at the show. I mean, and it's like, there's a flaw in it and I have to fix it right now. Like, what do I do? So I think moments like that is just, you really don't realize how much you have in yourself.
Right.
And how much you can rely on other people. Cause I had to, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was crying. I was trying to figure it out. Had those moments. I just remember a moment just in the shower, just sitting there and like, is this really happening right now? Like this moment, like, praying, like, please God, please help me get the right people, send all the right resources, whatever that was. It happened. And it's so amazing how, like, that to me is inspiration. Like I can feel it still right now, and that's why I said it's like, to talk about it, it's like, there's those moments that really just touch you like that. And that was one of them.
And I have to think that in those moments when the mind is quiet and you've been and done so many things with your circle where you've rallied and been another individual's inspiration. So I think it's kind of turnabout is fair play, right? So these people, that's also the community in which we live and grow and spend our careers in, right?
Yeah. And I really feel like that's why, I mean, even my sister and I, like, it's in you too, I'm sure, like, it's why we love the automotive community so much. Absolutely. Like it does not disappoint me. Don't get me wrong, there are some total a-holes, but there are, it's just
that's life though. That's what my dad would have said.
Right?
That's life, Jane.
But in general, like, I am wildly impressed by who we all show up as, that is just something that I do. I love automotive. I love motorsports, the racing aspect, all of it. It's in it. The people in it really love what they do too.
Yeah. So it makes it easy to give. Okay. Last question.
Hey,
one word you live by.
Where's that statement? Because I don't know if it could be one word. It has to be like a phrase. Is a phrase okay?
Totally fine. We're in charge here, so we can make the rules. Okay. I mean, the paper's not going to know. Whatever.
So the phrase that I live by is "You got this."
Oh.
And that one, I definitely, that was always something that Jesse would tell me. And that is always something that I will pass on, not only to myself, but to other people too, because it's like that moment, like the Jay Leno, it's like, that you have enough inside of you to do it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of digging a little bit deeper to find it, and so that phrase to myself, to anyone else, is such a powerful, very small, simple phrase.
It conveys so much.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh, Teresa, you were an amazing interview. I knew that though.
Hey!
I love it.
I can't wait to interview you next.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll just turn the seat over. Fun. And I will pretend that I have no idea what the questions are that you're going to ask.
I know. Let me get my.
I won't remember. I know. Get your sheet out. Do you want my glasses? Here you go.
I know. Right? I only need them for driving.
Oh. Big difference. You know, I need mine just to see like little tiny, weeny, weeny, tiny print.
I printed my big. So now we're flipping it around, and I get to interview my co-host, Fastlane Jane Thurman. And so, so who are you, Jane? Please tell us how you became. Apparently, I'm not good at this. How you
Became me?
get to become such a badass?
Well, that was easy for you to say.
No, apparently not. Is this an outtake? Should I say it again?
No, this is all in. We're all in. We're going. So who am I? Wow. You know what? It's really interesting because that is a very important question, right? And it's to the heart of the matter. I could tell you, well, I'm a mom, I'm married, I've done, many different things professionally. I am not formally educated. I went to the School of Hard Knocks and I graduated with my master's there, my friend.
Love it.
But beyond that, I am a woman who has found inspiration and joy in some of the most unique and interesting places. And the culmination of all of the careers that I've had led me into a hobby that ultimately turned into a career, which is motorsports. And coming into it, I'd always been exposed to um, motorsports or performance driving or stunt driving or boat racing or motorcycle racing or any of that all throughout my life. But to be an active participant and a driver, performance driver and a racer, that didn't happen until I was, 10 years ago, 48 years old. And it really showcased some inequities in me and ultimately made it so that I learned to communicate differently and I looked at things so much differently. Um, it's I'm it would be safe to say that I'm more a student of who I'm watching around me, like you or like Jesse, our friend Jesse, and other incredible people within motorsports and Greg and all of these things. So who am I? I ultimately am a culmination at this point of all of my experiences, whether it's been with my kids, whether it's been with my career, and now ultimately racing. I'm a person who is here and inspired and wants to empower and inspire other individuals, women first, because the whole reason I started racing really was so I could maintain some relevance and the cool factor with my kids that were leaving the home because I was a mom. I mean, I raised 3 kids and that's kind of just what I knew. And so ultimately I'm still learning who I am. I'm a racer, I'm a friend, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a teacher, a leader. There's it just depends on the day, and a podcaster, right? Just depends on the day you ask me. So today I'm
Well,
a podcaster.
and even to hear that, maybe you can touch a little bit on maybe some of the other careers that you might have had then leading up to this, because also I know you are fantastic at redoing homes and stuff too, and things like that. No, and you're such a creative in other ways that I think you pull that into some of it too, in a way that even like this, like you have a great eye for style and design too, and how you kind of tie all of that in, because and you're not driving like just any car. I mean, look at your car, it's gorgeous. It's a show car, not just a race car.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So, shortly after high school, because I you know, couldn't go to, for whatever reason, I didn't go to college. I went to junior college, but I got involved in film and television, but more behind the scenes for a certain amount of time, and then some in front of the camera. And, from that, it kind of, I wound up finding my way to fitness. And it was really interesting because I enjoyed fitness and running, at a very early age, which is crazy. And then I found out somebody would pay me to do
Love
this.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, you're going to pay me to be fit? Okay, that's really fun. And what I really, really dug was the aspect of teaching, and
Mm,
not so much you could have an instructor or a trainer stand there and tell you what to do and try and control the thing. But
yeah.
when you can take information and share it, and you share this information with an individual who can now do something different with their body, right?
Yeah.
Where they understand and you have a hand in educating and changing a person's life. I absolutely loved that. But I morphed out of the fitness industry because I wasn't going to open a gym. I had an opportunity
Mhm.
to get involved in real estate and ultimately found my way back to teaching and being a mentor within real estate. And so I never really understood until, here I am 10, 15 years into real estate. I'm like, oh, I'm teaching again. I spent 30 years teaching, 15 as an instructor, a personal trainer, fitness director, and training people. And I did the same thing within real estate. Real estate, we have a business of of real estate, but we also have an automotive business. We get involved in racing. I naturally go into teaching and sharing with other women how to do things like slide their car around, because I worked so hard. We talked about this on the other podcast. I worked so hard at honing my skills, and I learned a lot on the way along the way. Learned a different form of communication, and employed that within my own life, but then felt compelled to share with the other women within the racing community. And it's been an absolute mind blower to watch those women and their growth and see how motorsports and racing affects them. So, kind of coming through and seeing how teaching and educating is so important to me. It always has been, because really the underlying fact, you have to be able to inspire the person in order to affect the change, right?
And
And
that, yep.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
ultimately, that's where that all came from.
I
Yeah,
love
and
it.
that's
And
why. Go ahead.
go on.
Yeah. That's why we're here today, because on some crazy level, I want to share my experiences. You want to share your experiences to say, hey, we can't be alone in this. We'd be very self centered to think we're the only ones that can experience this incredible empowerment and growth and confidence that ultimately came through teaching and through motorsports for me. So,
Yeah. No, and that's exactly what life is as humans, we are all experiencing so many of these same hardships, emotions,
yes.
going through these struggles that we kind of sometimes go like, what the heck? Am I the only one? Well, no,
Right.
we're typically
Yeah.
not the only ones. And so when we do eventually figure it out, right, by like you said, this culmination of different jobs, of different just life changes,
Right.
we finally gain this wisdom and go, oh, look, this is how I do it better. And this, and
Yeah.
as we learn that, we want to share it, and that is such a thing that we want to give that gift to others. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I've been there and done this. Like
Yeah.
this was difficult for me. I want to, like you said, make it a little bit easier, where
Right.
they can enjoy it, and you knew that it empowered you so
Yeah.
much and you love it that you want to share that joy with them too.
Yes,
know?
absolutely. 100%.
So love it, love it.
Great
So okay,
question.
gotta kind of keep flowing, huh?
Yeah,
So
baby.
what excites you today? Like, not right this moment, but here in the now, is there anything that is just on the top of your plate that
So, yes, absolutely. Absolutely 100%. I mean, it's the obvious of response. What's exciting me now is we spoke about it earlier today about the concept and the idea of the podcast and the growth in which I'm feeling. I thought racing was one thing that created growth for me, but it is, oh, I wrote it down earlier because the term is growth farther instead of go farther. Growth
interesting?
farther. And that was just something I wrote down. And because I'm breaking my own barriers in terms of looking at different ways to approach people to see how I can help or we can help collaborate and inspire and really, really send out the massive feelers and tentacles to see how we can create a shift for positivity
Yep.
within the individual, right? I'm here to tell you that it has to start here for us. So that excites me. That totally excites me because I am growing farther,
Yep.
right, than I've gone. And so to me, that's super, super, super. That's got me on fire right now. Sorry, guys.
Love it. That's fantastic. Every day, if literally, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Right.
That's it's just that true statement of we are here. Everything that is living, if it is not growing, it is
Yeah,
dying.
it's
That is
dying.
part of it. So
And
love it.
I'm kicking and screaming, and
Yeah,
I'm,
growing big, growing strong.
I'm, that's my thing. That's my new thing. I'm growing farther.
Love it. Love
So,
it. So yeah, we touched on this a little bit before. Like we said, we mentioned that in mine too. So we're gonna fine tune these questions as we kind of go through them. And I love that we're our first interviews, right?
I do too.
These are great. How did you find your way to automotive in general or the aftermarket? You had mentioned that, it was kind of, involved in, earlier in life and stuff, but
Right.
how did that path kind of start for you?
I
Or
guess,
is there one thing you want to touch on specifically?
well, I think that there's a difference for me to be exposed to motorsports and the aftermarket through someone else. When
Mm-hmm.
I made an election to jump in myself, it was eye-opening. It was different. It was just a shift in perspective, and having an opportunity to be a part of SEMA, be a part of SEMA Businesswomen's Network, be a part of this sorority of incredible, giving, inspiring, empowering, confident, beautiful, strong women, willing, they're creative, they're helpful. And I don't want it to be confused with some ideal of feminism that doesn't exist. I'm talking about being a human being, really, really beautiful, strong, and encompassing everything, right? Does that make sense? Where understanding that we're capable and we can lift each other up, um, that's it for me. I love that part of SEMA and the opportunities and the motorsports industry that I'm in now, and seeing how I don't have to be a 20 something to succeed, right? I don't
Yeah.
have to be a size 2, right? And to succeed. And I think that that's a super beautiful thing. So perhaps motorsports has leveled the playing field. I'm not sure. I don't know, but I like where we are in history right now. with
Right.
motorsports and the automotive industry. It's definitely changing, obviously, with electric cars, and there's just so much opportunity for growth, both personally, professionally. I mean, I think that to be in motorsports right now in the automotive and aftermarket industry, I think that we couldn't have picked a better industry. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you
No.
picked me.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. Yeah. No. Definitely. It's an industry. I think the reason why we're both in it is
Yeah,
because we're so passionate about it,
yeah,
and it just draws you in more. I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's fantastic. Like, come on in,
right,
I
right.
both mentioned that on our last podcast of talking about things like that. Like, we want to make it inclusive. We want to
Right.
bring people into it
Yes.
because it is, we're all these like-minded individuals that encompass this, that want other people to feel what we're feeling. This
And, and
energy, this support.
what is amazing is that it feels as though it's a very, people will say, well, it's a predominantly male industry,
Which
and
it is.
which is great. But I personally have been afforded great respect and have
Yeah.
never been made to feel that way. So
and
I,
and
I
I
feel very fortunate, and I've never witnessed it really either. So
I think that's, again, us. Now, don't get me wrong, I have had moments where it is, they're not good ones, but
right,
those, again, are the 2%, or
right,
they're that's the problem, is that people have those experiences where they think, oh, everything's like that,
right.
but it's not. There is
Yeah,
so much more out there, and it's like, keep trying. Like,
yeah,
don't give up because of that one
yeah,
thing that happened or whatever. Yeah, it
yeah.
is. I agree. It's a fantastic industry that men have welcomed me into opportunities that I'm like, I cannot believe I am sitting in this room right now with all of these men and stuff. But I don't feel like a woman. I feel like a part of a group, a
Right,
part, and that's it. And
exactly.
they have treated me like that, and I think it's because you and I have gone towards the right people, and the right, have aligned ourselves with those people.
Yes, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
important.
Well,
So
we're rather commanding females as well.
yeah, no, totally. And that,
Right,
that's a very valid point. That's a great point you bring up, because if you want to get into something that, in any industry, you have to realize what you need to become
yeah.
to be
And
able
and
to
and
be
what
good at.
and what you ultimately bring to the table,
Yes.
right?
You have
Because
to be
again, it goes
confident.
back
You
to
do.
we all have different gifts, and if one mission that we have, right, is to make certain that we help others recognize the gifts that they have. They're going to be unique and different, and
Yeah.
but still integral and important part of the whole machine, right?
And that's 100%. And that's what confidence is embracing your
Right.
knowing that you have that gift. It's not
Yeah.
bragging about it. It's
Nope.
not saying you're better than someone else. It's saying that this is just a gift that I know that I have it, in
Yeah.
you being steadfast in what that is. It's not, and again, we're not, sometimes we are out there to compete with other people, but we should be competing
Our
with
little
ourselves to be the best. Yeah. Not,
Exactly.
it's when we
Exactly.
say being confident, you're not saying to be better than someone else. You're saying to
No.
be the best that you can be.
Yeah.
And that's
And
exactly what you.
understanding your worth, your value, your
Yes.
input, all of those things.
Yep.
Absolutely. Great question.
Um, So, what is your biggest inspiration then, early on in your career, and then now? And again, we can keep this open: a person, an experience.
Then would be my kids.
Mm.
Watching them kind of morph into little human beings, and they start as little human beings, and then they morph into bigger human beings, and then they're
Right.
like full-fledged people. And you're like, wow, how am I going to live up to the bar that they just set?
And
You know,
they're teaching you things, huh?
absolutely.
Get
Yeah,
that.
and if you're and I will tell you that paying attention to them when they were young, they were teaching me stuff then. They were
Right,
teaching me things about my shortcomings and how to be more patient and
right.
how to secretly talk on the phone in the restroom. So, it's those things. But now I would say, um, really, the difference is the then were my kids and how they needed me. The now is my kids and how I need them.
Aw.
So I think that each of them are so unique and doing on such different trajectories as far as their lives go, but they're all led from a place of love, right? And so it's interesting to kind of watch and witness and just to be in that shine is, yeah, that's my greatest, they're my greatest inspiration, definitely.
Love that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think what a big part of that is you mentioned that too. It's like with age comes wisdom, and no, but what I think is that we actually are more humble. I know I am personally, so I can't,
Right.
but like what you're saying is they're inspiring you in so many ways because you look at them and just go like we all thought when we were young that we knew everything. Okay, come on.
Right, right.
Like we just did it. Now we are looking, like you said, to them like it's
Yeah, it
amazing to see them grow up and to see
yeah,
how they can help us change too.
that inspiration is that, I equate that to that awestruck moment when you look at them and you're just like, what? And all I really tried to do was love them and get the hell out of their way. So, I mean, really, that's really all we need, right? That's all we need.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
we didn't need instruction manuals. We just needed to know that we're born perfect, and there you go. So,
right,
yeah,
right. If we could all just stay kids and then we'd be happy and
I know. Don't even start me on that. That's a
okay,
whole other conversation.
right, right. Let's go to your favorite memory during your career. Is there something that just stands out?
With regards to motorsports, I think that um, there have been so many standout moments within my motorsports career. I'd have to say, because we're calling it career, Karen Salvaggio came up to me at one of my first SEMAs after having started racing. And she said, I'm going to take you to meet with these people. They're going to interview you. And I didn't know her really well. She knew me, she knew of me, and she found me. And she says, and I want you to be prepared. She says, they're going to ask you some questions. And most importantly, they're going to ask you about your motorsports career. And I looked at her and I kind of laughed. And I was so new in this. And I said, Karen, it's not a career. And she says, it's a career. And off we marched. And I have to say that that was kind of one of the most pivotal moments with regards to thought process and how it's that moment that I go back to where I'm like, wow, she was prophetic and she knew. And yeah, I have been fortunate enough that I've parlayed my passion into a career. And, I hope I've done her proud.
Oh, I'm sure you have. And I love that you mentioned her.
Yeah.
She is a force to be reckoned with. And
Holy moly, that woman.
yeah, Dr. Karen Salvaggio, she
Yes,
started out as a military helicopter mechanic.
I
Is
know.
it, you know, is
Her pedigree. is
principal.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, she has had these different career changes that I think have turned her into someone that, yes, like you said, has given helped give you that moment that
Yes.
you said, nope, this is what, I'm
Yeah.
solid,
Yeah.
and helped you make those same choices.
Yeah.
So
Yet
I
another
love
woman in this industry that
it.
is strong and
Yeah,
uplifting,
we should be interviewing.
and that is humble. And last year I did interview her on
That's right.
my
Yes.
live series, which was amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. But we definitely need to get her a little,
Do
like,
it again.
get
Yes.
her in a little round table with us because I think it would be even more exciting. So for
She is
sure.
fantastic. And again, I met her on the all female build.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
So love that. Love that. She's
Is she
fantastic.
coming back to reprise her role?
She was today on one of the calls. So yes,
Yay!
she was on a call today
I
on
love
the
it.
events call. Yep. I
Awesome.
saw her. Love her. So favorite type of racing, on road or off road? And what type?
Well, there's certain aspects of road racing that I love. I would love to be able to have an opportunity to race road course in a fully prepped vehicle, not in a 1964 Corvette that could sprout wings and fly away. I'd love to be able to do that. And like you, I remember, well, I don't know if you did this, but we used to go out to the desert and, ride our dirt bikes. And then eventually it turned into, meeting other families. We go on incredible dirt bike runs and get back to the RV and pop in that first Dust to Glory. And I remember the first time I watched Dust to Glory, I'm like, Greg, we need an off-road truck. I want to race Powder Puff class. I want to race. So he raced Baja. And this was back when I was 19 years old. So it was almost 40 years ago. And I have to tell you that that doing something like that or participating in a relay or an off-road race like that, or like you and I have spoken about Rebelle Rally or Paris Dakar, once you see something
Or King of
like
the Hammer.
yeah, well, I don't know that I'd be so, well, I would do King of the Hammers as your co-driver,
Okay.
simply from the standpoint that I don't know rock crawling, so I need to leave that to the professionals. But this desert racing and going full out, and I'm kind of torn. So it would be the a tie between those two. And if I were going to be really honest with you, I'd pick the off-road over the road race first. Yeah. I'd want
Interesting.
both. I'd want both. And
Interesting.
I'd love somebody to create a race that has, kind of like a duathlon type of thing where you hop from your
Which
off-road
we
truck.
spoke about
Yeah,
too.
you hop
So,
from your off-road truck,
yeah.
and you get into your fully prepped race car and go do some road course. And then, you sit back around the fire and you regale the day, right?
Always.
Yeah,
That's always a must. That's
absolutely.
the end of the day. That's
Yeah,
one of the best things about the desert.
yeah.
That
There you go.
campfire, and
So then
right?
you'd have to do the road course first, and then the fun part would be the desert, and we'd wind up at the fire.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
okay,
Good
I got
point.
it. I'm just planning. I'm making mental notes.
Right. Exactly. Jotting it down.
Yeah, so
100%.
if anybody's gotten really rich on crypto, we have a plan for you.
Not right now. It's like
I know.
down,
That's what,
dude. Down.
it was me being cheeky.
If it
Oh,
was like a month ago, it would have been
I know.
perfect.
Pull your money out.
Right? Okay. So a bucket list item. What's at the top of your bucket list item right now?
Right now, top of my bucket list. When I think about bucket list, it has to be something that doesn't feel closely tangible, right?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So like
Yep.
road course, racing, that type of thing. Bucket list it would be big. It would include a boat. It would
Okay.
probably include an international flight. I
I,
think what would be fantastic to those big, beautiful old Italian wooden boats and cruise something like Monaco while you're there for, the
yes.
F1 race, right?
I, I would
I'm
be racing
I'm
for
just
this.
gonna throw it out there. I mean, and I'd like to be dropped off via helicopter. That's all. I'm just saying.
Okay. Okay. This
That's a
is
big
funny
bucket.
because when we start sharing ideas, like they so intertwine in it. Oh my
You're
gosh.
you
I'm
ready?
telling oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Like I'm with you right there on all of it.
Yeah, that big, beautiful, like a big freaking 12 cylinder inboard, incredible motor in one of those gorgeous Italian boats. Oh yeah, I'm in.
God. Oh gosh.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, that's it's on mine too. Yeah.
And bottles,
We'll get
and I'd like
more
bottles.
into that off the call later.
Yeah, I definitely would.
Share your biggest takeaway that speaks to inspiration.
It would have to be, I call this my trifecta of incidents.
I was gonna say the only
You're like,
trifecta.
trifecta of what? Because I really think that we can look at things and say, oh, this happened to me, or we can look at things and say, oh, this happened for me.
Yep.
So, and this takes an incredible amount of humility to talk about. I crashed my car 5 years ago, my race car, at a race in public with lots of people watching. Wow, that was fun. And that, in that moment, happened to me. A month later, my car was fixed and I was at LS Fest where I blew up my motor. That happened to me at that time.
Oh, got it.
Those things actually happened for me
Sure.
because I learned something. I was so inspired to learn something from the experience. And motorsports is really strange that way because in the real world, I've never really crashed a car the way I did my Corvette. I've
Yeah.
never blown up a motor the way I did my Corvette. And then, of course, driving Greg's Corvette and having the car fire. So that's my trifecta. And those things happened for me. And each time I walked away and everything was fine. Yeah, I didn't cry about crashing my car because I knew it could be fixed. I cried about blowing up my motor a month after I crashed my car, right? And because I'm like, oh my God, how do I go back to the motor home and tell Greg, with this, and they didn't bring me on a flatbed. It's one of those gators that's towing me back. So it was a little humiliating. I mean, I expected a flatbed and there to be all this pomp and circumstance, right? But no, it was just kind of finding a space within those incidents that, is it fair to say that they tested me? They kind of said, really, are you going to give up now? Everybody has crappy moments and they get embarrassed and they're not their best and they're caught with their, no makeup and their hair not. Do you know what I mean? So from those moments, although I will say that my hair was done and I did have makeup on in each of those incidents, um, I I learned something about how to not, organically. I didn't overreact or react in a way that created more harm to me as a person. So that's a takeaway of inspiration for me. It's my incident. It's what happened to me. It's my space, and it happened for me. And my response inspired me to be okay to talk about it because it can be very humiliating. It can be embarrassing, but I think there's something in it for others to learn from that experience.
So I love first off that both of us immediately went to a moment like that. No, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
No,
A vulnerability.
it's interesting to me that we both went to like instantly I was like, oh gosh, like this is a moment that hit me hard.
Yeah.
That same thing. I was like, what inspired me that moments like that, it's like you said, like, is this happening to me or is this happening for me? And
Yeah.
it's really those types of moments that make you think about things like that. Not the easy stuff, not when we're all out and enjoying ourselves and having a great time, then we think that's all happening for us, you know. Right. You know, that's always like that, but everything in life is happening for us always.
Yes.
You know? And so I love that. It's so true. And obviously this question is brilliant because I think it's really brought something out in both of us that you know, and other people too, is like, where do we understand where those moments come from? And that's where those moments come from.
And the two words that come to mind, because we spoke on this a little bit, is your grit, right? It's your grit and your grace.
Grit and grace is
Period.
huge. I think I have a little, oh gosh.
Oh.
I have a little pen right here. They're all up at the top right now, but I have a little grit and grace pin. It's
okay.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It really is. It's at that moment of digging in, but you know, breathing at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, and they're hard things to marry in such a beautiful way. Yeah. But it's amazing what comes out of it when they do.
Yeah, it's that moment versus you know, the universe is saying, "Show me what you're made of. Show me."
Yep.
I've got something
so
good for
awesome. You. Kudos to you for this question because look at those things.
Yeah, thanks, babe.
A word or a statement that you live by.
Well, Nike stole it. Okay, whatever, just do it.
Right.
But I like, and it's along those same lines of, well, along those same lines of just do it. But I think the most important for me, it would be honesty, being honest. Being honest with oneself, being honest with others, and I mean, and really understanding, backing up to that other thing that says this happens for you, being honest and understanding what that really freaking means, right? And understanding that a lie by omission is still a lie. Being honest with people, just because you have PTSD from a horrible childhood, you know, doesn't mean that these people will abandon you because you're being honest, and understanding how important it is if you say you care about somebody or you care about something, and how they deserve the honesty as well. I think that's, for me, honesty is the one word. Definitely.
Well, and even the honesty with yourself is huge, because once we have honesty with ourselves, it's about accountability.
Yeah.
So that's when we realize things are happening for us.
For us. Yes, ma'am.
Because we take accountability for our life, don't we?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a great word, because it really does come back to that in honesty and in all aspects of those things. So
yeah, and it doesn't have to be painful. I don't think that it has to be painful. I think that, and it's a growth.
You mean how it comes off? Yeah. You mean when you say painful? Okay.
No, when you're being honest with yourself, it doesn't have. You don't have to. You don't have to be brutally honest. You can be. You do you know what I'm saying? My sister would say, yeah. You can do it a little bit more gently. You know, And it doesn't mean you don't have to, you can be honest with other people, just don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
You know what?
there's
And
ways.
that's there's a finesse about that that I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
everyone has to learn. It
Yeah,
is definitely most of the things in life are learned, and
right?
I think that's one of them is
Yeah,
that's mine as well. Is okay. How am I going to approach this situation with, like
yeah,
you said, honesty, but at the same time with understanding the other person's feelings, understanding the
yeah.
situation, and where we come out with a win-win. I'm not trying to make someone feel bad. That's never the goal. The goal is to grow, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
So, lady, we are done interviewing each other. Awesome.
I love it. Thank
Fantastic. I think
you. This was such a great idea. Thank you so much for coming up with it. I think that was the
well, I
best
think we both
ticket.
did though, it was a good
Well,
collaboration. What we
I
do.
I know it's so important for us to be able to get to know each other more deeply, allow you guys to know us more deeply because, why listen?
Yeah.
We're just a couple
Yeah.
of kooky ladies.
Yeah. So the thing we had at the end was thank yous and how to follow us on social media. So for you, how should people find you and follow you personally?
So if you don't already follow me on Instagram, I am FastlaneJane _ on Instagram. Don't do a lot of Facebook. You can DM me through Instagram. But then, of course, if you're here on our YouTube channel, you already know it's Riding Shotgun TV, and you know how to find us in the podcast. And you can also listen to our podcast on Spotify, Anchor and Spotify. And
Very
for
cool.
you, how do they find you?
They can find me at for Instagram, and is at Design Muse. On Facebook, I am Teresa Contreras. And you can find us on me personally on any of our other websites, lgcts.com, bajaforge.com, realdealrevolution.org, and then we have Riding Shotgun TV, ridingshotgun.tv.
Yes, and that's another thing, guys, too. If you or someone you know would make a great guest, keep in touch with us. We're going to be able to post those questionnaires on and applications on our ridingshotgun.tv website. So we welcome the idea of, if you want to nominate somebody who you believe is a badass, do it. But if you are a badass, nominate yourself.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Teresa.
Thank you,
I
Jane.
love
I think
this.
we learned a lot about ourselves too
I
today.
know. I think so. And you guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. We appreciate you. And till next time. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Bye.
Bye, Ann.